At the end of July, I had a little nostalgia session by replaying the educational games of my childhood such as Addy and Adibou, and I even tested Adibou 3, the first 3D version of Adibou, which I had never done. In the context of a possible chronicle on it, I recorded my gaming session, and what I thought were simple bugs at first, turned out to take a frightening turn little by little. Here is my story. At first, everything is fine. I discover the introductory kinematics. I make a portrait of Shrek, for joking, because it is the only face in my abilities in view of the proposed elements, and I discover the house of Adibou in 3D. From the inside, I notice, while flying over the mirror, that I can see my portrait and change it. I click out of curiosity, and there I wonder, when developers said that this question mark mask was not scary for kids at all. It bothered me a little bit, in my personal opinion. It looked like the Halloween version of the anonymous mask. Anyways, back to the story. I'm back in the living room, and I take a look in the kitchen, one of the most cult pieces of Adibou, but that was not really the same to me. Kikik has already changed his appearance. I always have the usual recipes, and besides that, I can also make sweets. Not to mention that I can also make faces of vegetables, which wasn't really reassuring for me. I continue exploring the house, and I end up discovering the bedroom. In the bedroom, I get to have fun drawing, with the famous drawing palette. I decided to make a masterpiece, worthy of the greatest surrealist painters, and I end up sending it to Adibou. I then go up to the attic in the busy workshop, and I test the inventions of the closet, and suddenly, something unexpected happened. The game crashes. The game crashing on me was a bit unexpected to me, personally. I then relaunch Adibou 3, I pick up the drawing that I sent to Adibou. Note that the 3D animations aren't still very fluid at all. I don't know if it comes from the emulation or not, or if the basic game was also like that, but I shrugged it off. And there, Adibou begins to pack and string together the sentences on each other. Say, you are really good. Thank you so much. I love this drawing, and as this drawing is pretty. After that, I have only one desire, to test the various games to offer, and there, it's happening outside the house in another building dedicated to that. I then test out the first game. I then realize that Adibou explains the rules before the game starts, without necessarily visual aids to understand them well. And besides that, it's super long. I'm not really sure if children will be able to understand the game before playing it. There, for example, we have the classic game, where we memorize the notes that played on the flute, except that each time, there are very long animations with mices. But also big novelty, we have a kind of rock paper scissors, except that we can change signs along the way, depending on what the opponent is playing. Then, I play the game of Alibaba's Cave, which is actually a disguised game of stick. Here, there are many explanations. I start to struggle to understand how to validate my shot, once I did. In fact, I had to put my wand in the pawn bag for Adibou to play. And then in the end, I counted badly. I counted 5 pots, thinking, if I won or not, except that in fact, I had forgotten to count the red jar that contains the villain, and suddenly, I lost the game, and I got him mad. If the leader realizes it, he will not be happy at all. Look out for yourself. And then he gets off the screen. I wait, and I start to wonder if he will reappear or not. And then the moment came. I wanted to leave, he comes up suddenly. Good, nothing scary so far. After the game sessions, I go to explore the garden, that has nothing special, then I go to a new place, which was the Cave of Fireflies. In the Cave of Fireflies, there are magic potions. But, hush, that is our secret. And here, the atmosphere takes a different tone. I enter the cave, and I can see the eyes flashing everywhere, and I hear a background noise that made me a little uncomfortable. With the cloud cabinet, you can prepare spells. I then make one at random, and then I throw it at a poor Bowsigulum, who looks very badly because of me. It then made Adibou laugh. You really make me laugh with these potions. But bravo. Then, when I click on the mirror, I'm entitled to a hideous portrait. And when I click on the fireflies, I have access to fairy tales. I launch the first fairy tale, and there, I'll let you look out for yourself, or just watch and listen. Here is my master, the old dragon Matthew. His sad life will change when a brave man will click its goldenest scale, or that, the beautiful silver. Please, click on a scale. La la la, here she is, Princess Amalia. Coujh. What a pretty voice, Amalia. I want to do something for you. And for your lover, Balthazar the Brave, but I am old. And I just have enough fire left to release only one of you two. This tale is really creepy anyway, the atmosphere is very special. And so, I finished my little tour, so I decided to leave Adibou 3. See you later. And yet, suddenly, the game comes back in the house. In addition, the background sound from the cave of the fireflies started to play, and is still there. I then click on the door in case, but it does not work at all. Hi there, I'm here. I'm so happy to greet you in my country. So good so far. For every anomaly, I always told myself that it was small bugs, and it is true that for the joke, it gave not on a purpose, a scary side to the game, that was not. Except that, here I confess that I'm freaking out slightly and I hesitate to turn off the virtual machine, but at the same time, I have that odd little curiosity, deep within me, that keeps me going, and seeing how creepy the game can be. I then go in the house, and there's something that doesn't reassure me at all. That's when I see the portrait in the mirror, whereas before, it only appeared over flight. Okay, good, I'm really convinced that there is something wrong with this game. We are beyond the bugs, it cannot be a coincidence anymore. I click on the mirror, but I realize that there is no longer the icon of the little boy with the question mark mask. So there, my brain says, okay, I must have downloaded a weird version of this game. It was cracked and modified. Not to mention that they also want me to have a horrific experience on a children's game. I ask myself, I take a deep breath, and I take a little distance with my screen, and I am reassured that it is daytime, I am home, I am not in a horror fiction, I am in reality, I risk nothing, and in addition, the screenshot seems to work well so I can show everything that happens in the game. So, even if Adibou 3 is becoming more and more creepy, I should not remain unharmed. I am not serene, but I continue anyway. At the same time, I can't help but think about whether kids have downloaded this version, they must be surely traumatized and scarred for the rest of their lives. So, I play the game and I revisit each room to see if things have changed. I go in the kitchen, and I see the head I had made with vegetables on the table, and Kikik racing in replicas and then stops. Chewable heads. Skewers for laughing, okay, very good. I go up to the attic, and it suddenly went dark and the crane moves alone, and when I come down to the living room, it still becomes dark, and there's a pair of eyes blinking through the window just like in the Firefly Cave, so there, I have no doubts, it is really a modified version of Adibou 3. And besides, Adibou does not move anymore, and he also doesn't smile. There is no longer my reflection on my mirror, and when I click on it, nothing happens. And even if I click the attic or the kitchen, nothing happens either. However, the bedroom still works, so I go there. Adibou still does not smile, it's always dark, and again, I cannot go back, and I cannot click anything except for the palette drawing. I click on it, and I start drawing in bulk. But when I started drawing in bulk, there was something, which was a white text which is displayed little by little. You killed him. After that, it loads, and there is still that uncomfortable noise from the Firefly Cave. And then, suddenly, something immediately came up on the screen, which scared the bejesus out of me. There was a screamer, and this scared me. It was the leader from the game sessions, except he was creepy. He had black eyes with red pupils, his face was a little bit rotten, and he had sharp realistic teeth. After that, the jump scare and the screen fades away, and then fades into the Firefly Cave. This time, Bowzigulum is now on the ground, and Adibou is wearing the same question mark mask that I saw a few times on the portrait, and that's basically all. Good, the next thing I know, I cut the emulator, and I stop recording. With a doubt, I check that nothing has been changed on my PC, but turns out there was nothing, and my PC is safe. There's nothing abnormal, no viruses. I watch my video captures, everything is saved, so no problems at all. I can show you the pictures you see right now, and here I admit that I went into a mini paranoia all day, and it took me a little time to recover, but after all of this, I reassure you that there was nothing strange ever in my life, so it was a modified creepy version of Adibou 3. I tried to find the ISO file on the internet by searching in my history, but unfortunately, it was impossible to find the page where I had it downloaded. Till this day, I still kind of think about this. If you happen to ever stumble across this creepy modified version of Adibou 3, let me know, and show me a recording.